Welcome to another journey through literature. Today we're embarking on a close reading of a truly foundational text, Robert Louis Stevenson's enduring classic, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We'll be really focusing in on one pivotal section, Chapter 4, ominously titled The Carew Murder Case. This chapter is where the sort of subtle unease that has simmered through the opening acts truly explodes into overt horror, fundamentally shifting the narrative landscape for you, our listener.
Oh, absolutely. It's a seismic event within the novel, really. Up to this point, the sinister Mr. Hyde has been this unsettling presence, hasn't he? A whispered rumor, a strange legal problem that's been bothering the very respectable Mr. Utterson.
Right.
But here in Chapter 4, that abstract threat becomes terrifyingly concrete. This chapter isn't just a dramatic turning point. It's like a crucible. It reveals the novel's underlying anxieties about, human duality, societal repression, and the terrifying consequences of unchecked evil. It puts it all out there in stark, undeniable terms.
It really does. And to truly appreciate the shock of chapter 4, let's quickly recap where we actually stand. You'll remember from the opening chapters that our rather stoic lawyer, Mr. Utterson, has been grappling with these deeply unsettling encounters surrounding a mysterious figure, Mr. Hyde. We were introduced to him through that shocking story of Hyde trampling a young girl, an act of almost casual cruelty that immediately painted him as, well, detestable.
And it wasn't just morally repugnant, was it? It was described as this visceral physical revulsion that seemed to go beyond any rational explanation. That's a key aspect of Hyde's character that Stevenson carefully establishes early on. People just recoil from him instinctively, which, it speaks volumes about the sort of primal nature of the evil he embodies.
Precisely. And then there was that bizarre revelation of Dr. Jekyll's will, that document that, to Utterson's absolute horror, shockingly designated Mr. Hyde as the sole beneficiary if Jekyll died or, disappeared for a certain time.
Yeah.
This immediately raised huge red flags for Utterson, signaling this deeply unsettling connection between the upright, respected Dr. Jekyll and this shadowy, malicious figure.
That was such a brilliant narrative device. It really forced the reader and Utterson to question how such a seemingly respectable man like Jekyll could be so, inexplicably bound to someone so universally despised.
Exactly.
It created this legal and moral puzzle for Utterson to unravel, pulling him deeper and deeper into Jekyll's hidden life. We also saw that strained relationship between Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Lanyon back in Chapter 2, remember? Lanyon just vehemently dismissing Jekyll's scientific pursuits as unscientific balderdash.
Right. Balderdash.
And this wasn't just a minor professional disagreement. It hinted at something much deeper, a fundamental philosophical split about the very nature of science and, reality itself. Lanyon, he's the traditionalist, right? He sees Jekyll's work as dangerous dabbling, sort of playing with fire. Well, Jekyll clearly believes he's on the verge of something revolutionary, even if it is perilous.
Right. And then in Chapter 3, Utterson, being the loyal and concerned friend he is, directly confronts Jekyll about this troubling will. Jekyll, for his part, stays pretty evasive, doesn't he? Seems like he's trying to reassure Utterson that he can handle the situation, that he's got it under control. He offers this rather, hollow promise, claiming he can get rid of Hyde at any time and that he is, quote, done with him in this world. It's a statement that, looking back now, just rings with this almost tragic irony, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The irony is incredibly thick there. You see, up until this point, Hyde has been this elusive, almost spectral presence, a source of unsettling stories, a legal curiosity, kind of confined mostly to Utterson's private worry.
Yeah, shadow.
Exactly. He's been a symbol of potential moral decay, a whisper of hidden depravity, but crucially, he hasn't yet erupted into the public sphere as a concrete, identifiable menace. His actions have been largely kept in the shadows, affecting individuals in these sort of isolated incidents. Chapter 4 utterly shatters that fragile peace. The central question this chapter throws at us really is, how does this sudden, brutal act fundamentally shift the narrative? How does it escalate the conflict and reveal these new, terrifying depths to the novel's core themes? Human duality, societal repression, the thin veneer of civilization. It's the moment the monster steps fully, undeniably into the light.
And what a devastating turning point it is. Chapter 4, the Carew murder case, it just plunges us straight into that horror. It begins with a scene that initially feels almost deceptively tranquil. Stevenson sets the mood. A quiet, moonlit evening in London. It's bathed in this serene, almost romantic glow. And we're introduced to a maid, an unassuming, seemingly passive observer, looking out her window, maybe just enjoying the peace of the night. It's a classic moment of calm before the storm, isn't it? A standard narrative setup.
It is, but I think it's more than just setup. It's a masterclass in establishing atmosphere through stark contrast. This initial romantic mood created by the moonlit evening feels incredibly deliberate. Moonlight, traditionally it's a symbol of gentle illumination, maybe secrets revealed subtly, or even romance. But here, it serves a far more sinister, almost brutal purpose.
Right.
It acts like a cold, unforgiving spotlight. Not on a tender moment, but on this unfolding tragedy, this stark juxtaposition, the almost idyllic beauty of the moonlit night against the sudden, savage violence that erupts. It serves a profound symbolic purpose. Well, it represents the thin, fragile veneer of civility and order that barely covers this darker, more chaotic reality lurking just beneath the surface of Victorian London. It's like the hidden evils, the depravity that polite society tries so hard to suppress are about to be exposed under the very gaze of the heavens,
Yeah.
starkly illuminated for all to see, or at least for this poor maid to witness.
Yeah.
It makes the horror feel even more potent because it just violates the beauty of the setting itself.
And into this tranquil scene steps Sir Danvers Carew.
Huh.
He's meticulously described, isn't he, as a kind-looking elderly gentleman, a respected member of Parliament, and significantly for Utterson, one of his clients.
Mm-hmm.
The maid, watching from her window, she recognizes the other figure immediately, Mr. Hyde. She had apparently seen him before on a previous visit to her master's house and had already conceived an instinctive dislike of him, that feeling that, as we know, seems almost universal among those who encounter Hyde.
Yes, that immediate, almost unreasoning repulsion is such a crucial part of Hyde's characterization. It highlights his almost supernatural ability to evoke disgust, even before he does anything overtly terrible in that moment.
Okay, so Carew meets Hyde. What happens?
Well, this is where Stevenson truly deepens Hyde's monstrous nature. What's utterly chilling here is the sheer, unprovoked nature of Hyde's violence. Carew simply offers a polite greeting, an innocent gesture, typical of a respectable London street encounter, maybe asking for directions.
Right, normal interaction.
Exactly. Yet Hyde's response is immediate, explosive, a great flame of anger. It's utterly disproportionate, completely devoid of any discernible human reason or logic, entirely unprompted.
Wow.
This incident profoundly deepens Hyde's characterization. It moves him beyond just being, detestable or unpleasant. He becomes an embodiment of pure, destructive evil. It's not just a physical attack, it's an eruption of this primal, almost bestial rage.
You mentioned bestial, and Stevenson uses that specific phrase, doesn't he? Ape-like fury.
He does. And that's incredibly significant. Stevenson emphasizes this with that chilling description, ape-like fury. This isn't just hyperbole. It taps directly into significant Victorian anxieties.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the 19th century was grappling with Darwin's theories of evolution. This led to widespread fears about human degeneration, about atavism, the idea that humans could somehow revert to a more primitive, animalistic state.
Ah, okay. I see.
So Hyde's ape-like fury directly exploits these fears. It portrays him not just as evil, but as something monstrous, subhuman, an embodiment of humanity's baser, uncontrolled instincts. He's described as carrying on like a madman, highlighting his irrational and uncontrollable nature, which is a direct contrast to the Victorian ideal of, self-control and reason.
Right, the opposite of the respectable gentleman.
Precisely. This scene isn't just about a murder. It's about society's worst nightmares manifesting. It's a direct challenge to the perceived superiority of civilized man. His actions are those of an entity driven by utterly irrational, uncontrolled impulses, making him this terrifying symbol of chaos.
And the murder itself. It's described with truly horrifying detail, almost clinical in a way. The maid witnesses Hyde wielding a heavy cane and then hailing down a storm of blows. The brutality is conveyed in these really visceral terms that leave little to the imagination. Bones were audibly shattered and the body jumped upon the roadway. It's a quick, merciless assault. Not even really a struggle, it seems.
No, it's sheer destruction.
And the maid's reaction is one of absolute, overwhelming horror. She faints from the sights and sounds, only regaining consciousness hours later to find Carew incredibly mangled. It's a scene clearly designed to shock and repulse the reader.
Indeed. And those graphic descriptions, they're far from gratuitous, I think.
Yep.
They're Stevenson's deliberate choice to establish a new, much higher level of threat posed by Hyde within the narrative. The violence is swift, brutal, utterly without mercy. The imagery, bones audibly shattered, the incredibly mangled body it serves, not just to shock you, the reader, but to make the horror of Hyde's actions tangible, unforgettable.
Right. It's not just implied anymore.
Exactly. It transforms Hyde from this shadowy, vaguely menacing figure into a concrete, homicidal monster. And from a narrative structure perspective, this escalation is absolutely critical to the rising action of the plot. It shifts the novel from being primarily a psychological mystery, centered on Utterson's private anxieties, to a public crime demanding active investigation and immediate consequence.
Yeah, the police get involved now.
Right. The novel can no longer remain solely in the realm of speculation and unease, and it has to confront the brutal reality that Jekyll's connection to Hyde, whatever it is, has now resulted in murder.
So, following this horrifying crime, the immediate aftermath kicks off the investigation. The maid, once she recovers, reports the matter to the police, and then a truly crucial piece of evidence is found on the victim's body. A sealed and stamped letter addressed directly to Mr. Utterson,
Oh, yes.
which of course means Mr. Utterson is immediately summoned by the police to identify the body.
And this narrative choice, having the letter addressed to Utterson, it's just a stroke of genius by Stevenson, isn't it? From a structural point of view, it immediately and powerfully draws the novel's central protagonist directly into the criminal investigation.
Puts him right in the middle of it.
Exactly. It shifts his role from being a relatively passive observer, although a concerned one, to an active participant right at the heart of this unfolding public crisis. Utterson's identification of Sir Danvers Carew, a man he knew, his client, it's marked by his somber mood, which reflects not only the gravity of the situation, but also his personal connection to the victim.
Yeah, it makes it personal for him, too.
Absolutely. It's no longer just an abstract legal worry or a private dread about Jekyll. It's a personal tragedy that implicates his friend Jekyll in a truly terrifying way. The narrative perspective, which so often mirrors Utterson's limited knowledge, now becomes a vehicle for the police investigation itself, drawing us, the readers, deeper into the public consequences of Hyde's actions.
But the truly shocking piece of evidence, the one that really changes things for Utterson's understanding, is found right there at the crime scene. Utterson recognizes the murder weapon, or at least a broken piece of it, a piece of a rare and very tough and heavy wood cane, and he recognizes it as one he himself had given to Dr. Jekyll as a gift some years earlier. That must have been a devastating moment.
Oh, absolutely devastating. And the interesting thing here is the profound significance of that cane. It's not merely a weapon, it is the first direct physical link connecting Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde's monstrous acts.
Right, tangible proof.
And it comes through Utterson's own memory, his own personal connection to Jekyll. This discovery forces Utterson, and you, the listener, to confront the alarming possibility of Jekyll's complicity, or even worse, his direct involvement in this absolutely heinous crime.
So the symbolism of the broken cane.
Oh, it's incredibly potent. It not only literally represents a broken life, Sir Danvers Carew's life, but it also powerfully hints at the fracturing of Jekyll's own carefully constructed, respectable life. His losing control over Hyde seems undeniable now.
Yeah.
The cane, it was a gift of friendship, wasn't it? A symbol, perhaps, of Jekyll's good nature, his standing in society. And it's been perverted into this brutal tool of murder. That speaks volumes about the corruption at play, the perversion of what was once good and respectable.
So it symbolizes the breakdown of Jekyll's facade.
Exactly, the breakdown of his carefully maintained facade and the sheer destructive power of the evil he has somehow unleashed.
Faced with this horrifying, undeniable link, Utterson doesn't hesitate, does he? His usual stoicism is kind of replaced by this urgent need for action. He immediately takes Inspector Newcomen of Scotland Yard to Mr. Hyde's known address in Soho. This is where his man-of-action persona really comes through. We've seen hints of it before in his pursuit of the truth about Hyde, but now it's really prominent.
Yes, definitely.
He seems driven by this desperate need to understand, and maybe perhaps still trying to protect his friend, even as the evidence is just piling up against him.
Exactly. Utterson's swift action shows his deep loyalty to Jekyll. Even though it's becoming increasingly conflicted, you have to imagine, he's not just passively observing anymore. He's actively trying to understand the connection, to seek answers, and maybe trying to contain the damage without immediately throwing his friend to the wolves, even as the logical conclusion becomes more and more terrifying.
Right.
And this moment also profoundly advances the rising action of the plot. The narrative transforms, doesn't it? From a personal, internal mystery, largely confined to Utterson's thoughts and his private investigations, into a full-blown criminal case.
Involving Scotland Yard, yeah.
Involving the police and implicitly the broader public. The stakes are raised immensely. It moves beyond private anxieties to public scandal and pursuit. The very nature of the narrative starts to shift towards almost a detective story, but one that's still haunted by these disturbing, possibly supernatural undertones.
And the journey to Hyde's residence, the description of the atmosphere surrounding it, it's so vividly portrayed by Stevenson. He describes this pervasive, gloomy mood and these unsettling weather conditions during the drive to Soho. The light is described as lurid brown, dark like the back end of evening. And there's this thick fog blanketing the city. It creates this really oppressive atmosphere.
Yeah, that fog, it's almost another character in the story, isn't it? This pervasive, gloomy mood and the thick fog are not just descriptive elements, they are crucial symbolic extensions of the novel's core themes.
How so?
Well, they connect profoundly to the broader symbolism of London itself in the novel. The fog, which literally obscures vision and hides things within the city, perfectly symbolizes the moral obfuscation, the secrets, the hidden evils lurking beneath the city's respectable Victorian surface.
So it's like a physical representation of the moral darkness.
Precisely. It's a physical manifestation of the mental and moral darkness that has descended. Stevenson masterfully uses this setting to visually reinforce the novel's central themes of secrecy, repression, and the almost impenetrable nature of Hyde's evil. The city isn't just a backdrop. It's described as a district of some city in a nightmare. That makes the landscape itself a direct reflection of the terror, the moral decay, and the psychological torment that Hyde represents.
Wow.
It's as if the very air of London is heavy with the weight of Jekyll's secret and Hyde's depravity. And this reflects a broader Victorian anxiety, about the city itself as a place where vice and anonymity could thrive unchecked, contrasting sharply with the idealized image of ordered, respectable life.
So when they finally arrive at Hyde's house in this foggy, nightmarish district, the scene they find inside is equally unsettling, isn't it? It sort of confirms the ominous journey.
It does.
An old lady, the housekeeper, initially tries to deny them entry.
Hmm.
She claims Mr. Hyde isn't home. But when Utterson reminds her of Inspector Newcomen's official presence, invoking the power of the law, she reluctantly lets them in. And the interior of the house, it's a stark contrast to the ordered Victorian homes we might expect, like Jekyll's. It looked like it had been ransacked.
Yeah.
There are clothes lying on the floor, drawers left open, and very tellingly, ashes in the fireplace from burnt papers. Suggests a hasty, desperate attempt to destroy evidence. Right?
Oh, definitely. The imagery of the ransacked house is incredibly telling. It gives us deep insight into Hyde's character and lifestyle, or lack thereof. It instantly portrays Hyde's life as utterly chaotic, destructive, and entirely devoid of the order, neatness, and propriety that characterize respectable Victorian society.
Total disorder.
Total disorder. And this disarray reinforces that idea of animal behavior we talked about earlier. Stevenson uses that striking simile, noting the rooms resemble what one would see after an invasion by monkeys.
Wow.
It's a direct comparison that emphasizes Hyde's primal, uncivilized, and fundamentally antisocial nature. He's a creature of instinct and chaos, not reason and order.
And the burnt papers.
Well, the burnt papers, of course, suggest a desperate, frantic attempt to destroy incriminating evidence. It heightens the mystery and hints at the extreme lengths Hyde, or maybe the part of Jekyll that is Hyde is willing to go to cover his tracks. It also suggests a hurried departure, doesn't it? A frantic escape.
True.
And the choice of Soho as Hyde's lair, that's no accident either. Soho was known in Victorian London as it's a downmarket part of London, infamous for its less respectable inhabitants, its hidden vices, its labyrinthine streets.
So the location itself says something about Hyde.
Absolutely. This setting further reinforces Hyde's connection to the city's underbelly. It firmly places him outside the bounds of polite society and associates him with the darker, hidden aspects of urban life that respectable Victorians often prefer to ignore or deny. It's where society's repressed elements could fester, perhaps, and where a monstrous identity like Hyde's could exist away from prying, judgmental eyes. It's a psychological landscape as much as a physical one.
Despite the chaos and the obvious attempt to conceal things, they do manage to find key pieces of evidence in the house. They find a checkbook, which, could potentially trace Hyde's movements and financial dealings, offers a tangible path for the police, maybe?
A practical lead.
And chillingly, they find the undeniable broken end of the cane, the other half of the murder weapon, confirming the link to Jekyll beyond any reasonable doubt, really.
Yeah, those discoveries are absolutely vital for the plot development and for cranking the tension even further. While they don't provide a full confession or anything, they offer concrete physical links that enable the police to actively pursue Hyde. The checkbook, in particular, points to a potential method of apprehension through financial trails. something tangible and modern in a world where the evil itself feels increasingly elusive and, well, abstract. It transforms the abstract horror into a more tangible police procedural.
But still a very unsettling one.
Oh, incredibly unsettling, given the implications about who the criminal might really be connected to, and the discovery of the other half of the cane. That's the final, irrefutable piece of circumstantial evidence linking Jekyll to the murder, or at least the weapon. It leaves almost no room for doubt about his connection to the perpetrator.
And this must just push Utterson's internal conflict to its absolute breaking point. His loyalty to his friend clashing head-on with this overwhelming evidence of a truly heinous crime.
Exactly. What does he do now?
Yet, despite these clear clues and the intensified police investigation, locating and actually apprehending Hyde proves to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Almost impossible, it seems. The novel notes that Hyde has no friends, his family cannot be traced, and perhaps most strikingly for us today, he had never been photographed.
Yeah, no selfies back then.
Right. Furthermore, those who know him give different descriptions of him. They can't even agree on what he looks like exactly, but they all agree on one point. Hyde gives off this indescribable sense of deformity. This physical elusiveness seems to perfectly mirror his moral elusiveness, doesn't it?
It really does. And this raises an incredibly important and unsettling question, one that resonates deeply with those Victorian societal anxieties we mentioned. How can society possibly confront an evil that defies conventional understanding and categorization?
Yeah, how do you catch someone you can't even properly describe?
Exactly. Hyde's elusive nature, his lack of a definitive, consistent description. It makes him almost a spectral, maybe even supernatural entity, rather than just a mere criminal who can be captured by conventional police methods. In an era that was becoming obsessed with classification, with scientific understanding, Hyde is this terrifying anomaly. He's an uncategorizable being.
And that indescribable sense of deformity.
It's such a powerful symbolic image. It's not just physical ugliness. It's presented as a manifestation of his inherent repulsive evil, which repels everyone who encounters him. This deformity reflects a deep societal revulsion towards the uncivilized, the primitive, the morally perverse, all those qualities that Victorian society works so hard to suppress and hide away.
So it's like his inner evil showing on the outside, but in a way people can't quite put their finger on.
Precisely. And the inability to photograph him, for instance, it speaks to his ephemeral nature. It's almost as if he exists outside the physical laws of the world, or at least outside the scientific attempts to document and control it. This profound difficulty in pinning down Hyde, whether visually or socially, it really underscores the anxieties of the era about hidden depravity, about the human inability to fully understand or control the darker, more irrational impulses of humanity.
She's terrifying because you can't grasp him.
Exactly. He's a walking nightmare because he defies logical grasp and conventional containment. He's a symbol of the dark side of human nature that society tries desperately to deny but cannot truly escape. He's a physical embodiment of Dr. Jekyll's moral compromise and his dangerous scientific transgression.
Yeah.
And his lack of social connections also isolates him completely, making him a true outsider, emphasizing the extent to which he represents a total rejection of societal norms.
Okay, so to pull it all together then, Chapter 4 is indeed this brutal awakening for everyone involved, isn't it? Especially for Utterson. We witness the horrifying, completely unprovoked murder of Sir Danvers Carew by Mr. Hyde, an act of shocking primal violence. Then comes that chilling discovery of the broken cane, which serves as a direct, undeniable physical link between the highly respectable Dr. Jekyll and this brutal crime.
Yeah, the smoking gun, so to speak, or broken cane.
Right, and this ignites a full-blown police investigation, which takes Utterson into the disquieting, foggy depths of Soho. It exposes the chaotic and almost animalistic side of Hyde's existence, while at the same time revealing his almost supernatural elusiveness.
Precisely summed up. Chapter 4 is that critical turning point in the novel, a true escalation that significantly elevates the core conflict. Hyde transforms from being just a menacing shadow and a private obsession for Utterson into a concrete, homicidal threat. It pushes the plot firmly into the rising action phase, where the consequences become unavoidable and very public.
No turning back now.
No turning back. The murder dramatically complicates Utterson's understanding of Jekyll, shattering any illusions of control Jekyll might have tried to project earlier. It amplifies the tension surrounding their relationship massively. Utterson is now compelled, really, to delve even deeper into the mystery. Not just for his friend anymore, perhaps, but now for justice, and maybe even for the safety of society.
Yeah, the threat feels real now.
Very real. And moreover, the chapter masterfully utilizes that vivid imagery, particularly of the fog-shrouded, nightmarish London and the shifts in narrative perspective, to expose the profound fragility of those Victorian societal norms and the terrifying, uncontrollable power of repressed human evil. It's a chapter that leaves you, the reader, profoundly unsettled. You know that something truly dark has been fully unleashed.
And it sets the stage perfectly for what comes next, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With the police now actively pursuing Hyde and the physical evidence undeniably pointing towards Jekyll, what further dark revelations await? As Utterson grapples with the terrifying implications of this unfolding crime, you have to wonder, will Jekyll's carefully constructed reputation survive this public scrutiny? Or will the secrets he so desperately guarded finally come crashing down, exposing the true nature of his dangerous experiment? The stakes just couldn't be higher moving forward. Thank you for joining us on this literary journey. Hit subscribe and share to become part of our AI-human collaboration where every listener helps shape future episodes.